Hi, I'm hoping to take some of the mystery out of this 17-day contingency that you're hearing about. Here's what happens. When you enter into a contract to purchase a house, there are a whole lot of unknowns, and the contingency period is actually the time frame in which the buyers do their due diligence and investigations in order to feel comfortable with moving forward with the purchase. The definition of a contingency is a future event that is possible but cannot be predicted with certainty. This is how the contingency period unfolds. We start with day one. The offer is accepted and the first day of the contingency period is started. If this is on a weekend or holiday, escrow will then open on the next business day. However, the contingency period has already started. There are three standard contingencies in a purchase agreement. However, the time frames are sometimes negotiated. The first one is the inspection contingency, which is usually 17 days. The next one is the appraisal contingency, which is also 17 days. And then we have the loan contingency, which is normally 21 days. Let's see how they work once escrow is opened. It's helpful if your realtor likes to get everything done right away in the transaction to cut down on stress for you. Once the offer is accepted, we get the ball rolling. The buyer has 3 days to deliver the earnest money deposit to escrow. Then an appointment is made for a home inspection and any other inspections the buyer may want to do. Then the lender orders the appraisal on the property. Now, the question, of course, on every buyer's mind is, can I lose my deposit? In essence, the contingency period actually protects the buyer's deposit. Your agent will ensure you have all your investigations complete and you are certain you are wanting to and able to purchase the property. Now, the seller has 7 days to deliver the termite report and disclosures to the buyer for review. Once the buyer has inspection reports, title report, and disclosures, the buyer now has everything they need to make a decision on the physical aspects of the house. Even though every house is actually sold as is, it is customary to go over the physical inspection report with your agent to talk about the findings on the house. At this point, you have the opportunity to create a request for repairs on the property, or you can ask for a credit from the sellers at the close to make the repairs yourself. Also at this point, the termite report is also addressed. It's always good if the seller agrees to complete the termite repairs as needed. Now keep in mind, the seller does not have to agree to any of the buyer's requests. However, there are 3 mandatory conditions that have to be completed to code. The first is the water heater. It must be braced and strapped securely for earthquake proofing in California. The smoke detectors must be in place, and also the carbon monoxide detectors must be installed. Once you have submitted your request for repairs, the seller will respond by agreeing to your request, denying your request, or countering your request. Now, once the buyer and seller come to a contractual agreement, you will then be ready to sign contingency removal number 1, which is the inspection contingency. At this point, we are at or close to day 17 of this contingency period. And as I mentioned, the inspection contingency number 1 can now be removed as the buyer has done due diligence and is satisfied with the inspection and repair negotiations. Both the buyer and seller sign the contingency removal. Most importantly, the buyer's deposit can still be refunded if the buyer cancels the escrow. The lender is now gathering all the information for the loan to fund, such as making sure the appraisal is completed. The buyer is then scheduled to sign loan documents. The buyer gets insurance quotes, and the loan is submitted to underwriting for approval, and all outstanding loan conditions are now being met. Keep in mind on day 21, the loan contingency has to be removed. Now, for this to happen, the buyer and seller have to sign contingency removal number 2, and this is stating that the buyer removes all contingencies. Both buyer and seller sign the removal of all contingencies. For this to happen, the realtor will ensure the loan has been accepted in underwriting and ensure all reports and inspections have been addressed. Of course, sometimes there may be a delay in getting all conditions met, but don't worry. If the buyer isn't ready to remove due to the loan not being cleared by underwriting or reports not completed, the buyer can request an extension with a specific expiration date. Day 21. This is the day that everybody gets to breathe. At this point, unless there are any unforeseen circumstances that cause the buyer to cancel escrow, we're pretty much guaranteed that the purchase will be completed. Now, if the buyer does cancel escrow after the contingencies have been signed and released, at this point they will lose their deposit. But the majority of cases are standing clear to proceed to close escrow, and the buyer and seller are confident that the sale is going to complete. And the packing begins. I hope this has answered some of your questions and maybe cleared up some of this process. But if not, please let me know. But rest assured, I will be holding your hand. I will be walking you through the process as well as many, many other people on my team.